This is the suitcase in which Jason Chen stuck the 98-pound body of Jasmine Pace. That's where I'm going to begin the story. Except I want you to remember that as you hear evidence in the next week, that this is not a story like the one that you read in a novel where you have to imagine the appearances of characters. The evidence that you will hear in this case is very real. The evidence will not require that you use your imagination. Jasmine Pace was very real, and Jason Chen really killed her. The suitcase was located in a brushy area just yards from the bank of the Tennessee River and right off of Suck Creek Road. In it was the body of Jasmine Pace, who had been placed in a fetal position inside of 3 black trash bags. Her right ankle was handcuffed to her right wrist. Her left ankle had been shackled to her right arm. Her wounds were extensive. You will hear from Dr. Cogswell, the medical examiner for Hamilton County, who will describe those wounds in great detail. He stabbed her over and over and over again, not 7 times, not 29 times, not 43 times, but 60 stab wounds. One wound, a through and through, from the right side of the neck all the way through the left. Another so deeply penetrated her rib cage that the tip of the knife broke off into her lung. You will see the tip of that knife. The state of Tennessee is required to prove to you 3 elements for first-degree premeditated murder. The first is that Jasmine was intentionally killed. The second is that it was a premeditation. You will hear facts and evidence. You will see photos. You will hear from witnesses that allow you to believe, beyond a reasonable doubt, that she was intentionally killed and that premeditation was involved. But the third element is that the state of Tennessee has to prove that he did it. I'm going to start from the beginning. The 2 of them had been seeing each other, Jason and Jasmine. On Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, the week of Thanksgiving, Jasmine left her home and drove to Jason's apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment where he lived by himself. She was never heard from again after November 23rd. After November 23rd, 2022, her friends and family never heard from her. She never returned home, and she missed Thanksgiving. Like most families would, they knew something was wrong. You will learn that Jasmine's family quickly suspected that Jason Chen had something to do with her disappearance. Despite the family's best efforts to get the police department involved, initially the Chattanooga Police Department was of no help. Jasmine's family was forced to take matters into their own hands. So, on November 26, 2022, you will learn that Jasmine's family broke into his apartment. You will hear that. You will hear that they were trying to find their daughter and their sister, and that they went into his apartment. Of course, Jason wasn't there, but what was there? Some of Jasmine's belongings, including her driver's license and her credit cards. You will hear from a mother who was desperate to find her daughter. Eventually, and only because of the relentlessness of Jasmine Pace's family, the Chattanooga Police Department's Homicide Division executed a search warrant at Jason Chen's apartment on November 28, 2022. The missing persons investigation quickly became a homicide investigation when, even despite his best efforts to clean it up, Jasmine's blood was everywhere. Jasmine Pace's blood, upon the execution of the search warrant, was located all over Jason Chen's apartment. It was obvious that Jason had tried to clean it up based on the scene. You'll see those photos. You'll see photos of cleaning products, but you're also going to see video of Jason Chen on November 23rd, 2022, buying cleaning products at multiple locations, the same day that Jasmine's friends and family stopped hearing from her. You will learn that homicide investigators located Jasmine's body in this suitcase on the side of Suck Creek Road, in part due to Jason's own cell phone location records. They were able to track Jason using those cell phone location records throughout Chattanooga on the day of the 3rd, Walgreens, Walmart, most likely looking for a place to dump her body. But then eventually, at 6 p.m. on November 23rd, 2022, Jason Chen leaves his apartment with a suitcase. He enters his vehicle and he drives to Suck Creek Road. You will learn of other efforts that Jason took to try to cover his tracks. How he ditched her vehicle in a random apartment complex on Mountain Creek Road so that it was no longer at his apartment building. He sent text messages to Jasmine's phone to try to create an alibi when she was dead inside of his apartment and he was in possession of her phone. You will hear facts of cover-up. You will learn that police never found Jasmine Pace's phone, but they did find her SIM card. The small chip that goes into the side of our phones to store all of our phone's information, her SIM card was located. Where was it? It was in a glasses case inside of Jason Chen's backpack that was in his possession when he was located by the Chattanooga Police Department. And when you think that you have seen enough evidence that Jason Chen killed Jasmine Pace, you will be convinced that he stuffed her body in this suitcase after placing it in trash bags, because you will hear from a fingerprint expert. The fingerprint expert will tell you that Jason Chen's fingerprints were found on the innermost trash bag that surrounded her body. In the first few days of trial, you're going to see a few witnesses that may at first seem confusing to you. Bear with me. They are going to be laying the foundation for evidence that you will see through Chattanooga Police Department homicide investigator Zachary Crawford. Over the course of the upcoming week, the state of Tennessee will prove to you beyond any reasonable doubt that Jason Chen handcuffed, sliced, stabbed, packaged, and discarded Jasmine Pace. I ask that you carefully consider this evidence. The state of Tennessee will give you the dots, and we will help you connect them. At the end of trial, I'm going to humbly ask that you find Jason Chen guilty of murdering Jasmine Pace in the first degree and then of using her corpse. Thank you.
I told you when we were in Nashville that I wouldn't waste your precious time. I have no intention to waste it during the course of this trial. In the early morning hours of November 23rd, 2022, Jason Chen killed Jasmine Pace. He didn't do it with premeditation. This is a voluntary manslaughter case. Voluntary manslaughter is the intentional or knowing killing of another in a state of passion produced by adequate provocation, sufficient to lead a reasonable person to act in an unreasonable manner. The state told you during jury selection that in order to prove first-degree murder, they don't have to prove that it was planned, but it wasn't. The state told you in jury selection that they don't have to prove a motive. There isn't. What the state does have to do is prove premeditation, and can't, because it wasn't. Jason Chen is a first-generation Chinese American. He grew up in Elkinsville. His parents worked at a Chinese restaurant and worked very hard bringing him up. Jason graduated from high school and went to college here at Chattanooga, University of Tennessee, at Chattanooga UTC. In November of 2022, he was a senior with a major in computer science. The year before, he and Jasmine started communicating. They met on Tinder. And after exchanging messages back and forth, they started texting and using iMessage. You're going to see the iMessages between Jason and Jasmine. You're going to see how their relationship progressed through these text messages. In 2021, they dated for a few months, but then lost touch. But then about 8 months later, in May of 2022, they rekindled that relationship. They started dating, seeing each other more and more. They obviously got much closer. They traveled to Chicago together that summer. And you're going to see through the text messages, someone was obviously more into this relationship than the other. Jasmine started getting feelings for Jason. And you're going to see through those text messages that Jason didn't reciprocate that as much as she did. Then you come to the week of November 22nd. It was Thanksgiving. Jasmine and her family lost their grandmother. She was in grief. And on the night of November 22nd, around 11 p.m., she came over to Jason's house. And they did what they always do. They took wine, smoked pot, smoked wax, watched movies, and do what 22-year-olds do. On the night of November the 22nd, they were drinking wine in the back bedroom. You're going to see pictures of the apartment. This apartment is 500 square feet. You can get from the front door to the back door or back wall, less than 10 seconds walking away. Very small apartment. In order to open one bottles of wine in the bedroom, Jason had to go to the kitchen and get a kitchen knife to take off that plastic wrapper that goes around the top of wine bottles. So he was able to get off the top of the wine bottle plastic wrapper, and he placed it on his nightstand. At a certain point, they finish off the bottle of wine, and Jasmine goes back into the kitchen to get another bottle. And there on the counter is Jason's cell phone. Ding, 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 ding. That familiar Tinder ding that Jasmine and Jason knew so well because that's how they met. Jasmine looked at his phone and saw all these messages with other girls, other people. And this was infuriating to her. She was already in grief, and it sent her in anger, into a rage, and they started yelling, fighting, verbally. Jason came into the kitchen, and you're going to hear from witnesses that can hear both of them arguing. You're going to hear from witnesses that heard the speech, not the words, but to hear them yelling. Jasmine attacked Jason with an empty wine bottle. And in reaction, Jason kicked her, and she fell backwards, knocking over wine glasses. She picked up one of the wine glasses and ran towards Jason, and Jason retreated, going from the kitchen to his bedroom, which you have to go through the bathroom. She chased after him, and he was trying to close the door to the bathroom, but couldn't because the bathroom got in the way. Then tried to run from the bathroom into the bedroom, but there was a pocket door, and it's impossible to close. He gets back into his bedroom, and Jasmine's right there, cutting at him with this broken glass. Jason sees the knife, and he reacts. He stabs. He blacked out. Your heart is racing. You're in that fight or flight response. Your adrenaline is running. You're in panic. You're in fear. You don't know what's going to happen next. He can't. He comes to. He's laying over Jasmine's body, kneeling over it. He's bloody. Sickened by it. Jason crawls on his hands and knees to the bathroom and throws up. He lays there for minutes. And then goes back into the room and sees what he's done. He's scared, in panic, and he doesn't know what to do. And I wish I was telling you right now that he called 911, that he called the police. But he didn't. He shouldn't. But even if he had called the police, I still think that we'd be having the same trial today, arguing the exact same issues. From there, Jason decides that he has to cover this up. He has to hide what he's done. He's scared for what his future entails. But more importantly, the shame that he's going to bring on his family. The shame that comes with everything that he's being accused of today. So he sets down his course of trying to hide it. He places Jasmine in trash bags. Puts the handcuffs on her after she is dead. So that way she can fit into the trash bags. And so that he can put her into that suitcase. Where he then takes her body in that suitcase and drops her by the banks of the Tennessee River here in Chattanooga. He then sets on a course to try to clean up the apartment to his best of his ability. He does a poor job. He tries to hide the fact of what he did by texting Jasmine's parents, by pretending to be her on social media. Whatever he can do to give himself an alibi in his eyes. It's selfish, and it's wrong. But he panicked, and he thought this was the best course of action. There's a couple other things that complicate this case. You're going to hear about Katrina Pace, Jasmine's mother. Any person whose child is missing who would go to such lengths and have such courage should be commended. She broke into Jason's apartment to search for her daughter. She also went in other times than that first time. She went in at least 3 or 4 other times, doing 2 things. One, contaminating the scene. She couldn't have known what had happened there. I don't think that she purposely contaminated it. But what that's going to show in the evidence is the state's going to show you what's called luminol, blue star agent. That reacts with blood, and it creates a blue image. The cleaning materials and the blood that Jason cleaned up was tracked by Katrina Pace, all of her family that went in and out of this apartment. It was tracked by law enforcement officers going in and out, tracking all through the apartment. Police, in this case, Chattanooga Police Department, and I'm embarrassed to say it, they were incompetent and ignorant and unable to help Katrina Pace. In order to incentivize, in order to get the Chattanooga Police Department to look for look for Patrice's missing daughter, to get them to go and look for Jason and to arrest him, she had to stage the scene. She, or perhaps others, I don't know, went into Jason's apartment after meeting with the Chattanooga Police Department to make the scene look more incriminating than it actually was. You'll see a knife on the bed that wasn't there when the Chattanooga Police Department went through the apartment initially before the search warrant was issued. You're going to see the differences between what the apartment looked like beforehand and what it looked like after. The second issue is the incompetency and the ineffectiveness of the Chattanooga Police Department. You're going to hear Zach Crawford. You're going to hear him testify at this trial that he told Katrina Pace and her family that he would tarnish this investigation if it meant bringing Jasmine back. Well, that begs the question. What did he do, or what could he have done to tarnish this investigation? What could he have done to manufacture premeditation so the state could show that here today and over the course of this week? I promise you not to waste your time. The state's talking about fingerprints on trash bags, DNA found at the scene. I don't intend to ask any questions about any of that. The only issue in this case is whether there's premeditation. If there is no premeditation, this is not first-degree murder. This killing didn't happen after calm and cool reflection as the law requires. This is Jason, after being sufficiently provoked after having his girlfriend run at him with a bottle, with a broken glass, and him reacting in a panic, but acting irrationally. Jason Chen is guilty, but he's not guilty of the crime that he's charged with. Jason Chen should be found guilty of the crime he did.